President Muhammadu Buhari signed into law the 2022 appropriation bill. The signing of the budget comes 2 weeks after the Senate and the House of Representatives passed the bill presented by the President a few weeks earlier. The lawmakers had approved a total expenditure of 17.1 trillion naira against the 16.3 trillion naira proposed by the President in October. President Buhari, however, raised reservations about some of its content, particularly the worrisome changes made by the lawmakers. More details of that story in this report. Despite the National Assembly's decision to increase the budget estimate by over 700 billion naira from the initial 16.4 trillion naira proposed by the executive, President Buhari says he is not thrilled. Specifically, the president expressed displeasure over some changes as well as major additions and reductions made by the National Assembly in critical projects without justification.
Of new provisions totaling 36.59 billion naira for National Assembly's projects in the service-wide vote, which negates the principle of separation of powers and financial autonomy of the legislative arm of government. G. The changes to the original executive proposal are in the form of new insertions, outright removals, reductions, and/or increases in the amounts allocated to projects. I. Provisions made for as many as 10,733 projects were reduced, while 6,576 new projects were introduced into the budget by the National Assembly.
Even though the president signed the budget, he, however, made it clear that he did so reluctantly.
I signed the 2022 appropriation bill into law to enable its implementation to commence on the 1st of January 2022. However, I will revert to the National Assembly with a request for amendment and/or amendment as soon as the Assembly resumes to ensure that critical ongoing projects that are cardinal to this administration and those nearing completion do not suffer a setback due to reduced funding.
On his part, the President of the Senate, Hamid Lawan, said the issues raised by the President are not worrisome.
The most important thing is Mr. President is happy with the majority of what the National Assembly has done, and that's the most critical thing that we need to focus on. As for the observations Mr. President has raised, this is a natural and logical tendency between the executive and the legislature. Sometimes our views on certain issues may not be necessarily the same kind of views that the executive would have and hold on any particular matter. So I don't think what the president did by raising some observations as something that we should worry about. I'm happy that the president signed the budget in the first place, and he said he's coming back to the National Assembly to seek for amendments or amendments, and this is natural, logical legislative process.
With the passage of the 2022 budget of 17.13 trillion naira, the 9th Assembly, in collaboration with the Executive, have achieved the budget cycle of January to December for the third time since 2019. Folashade Ogrinde, TV 360 News.